Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to read a story out loud for our oral language, and then we're going to listen to the story for our listening comprehension. So the last few weeks we've been talking about Aesop's fables, and I thought it would be neat to go along with that, and we would do Androcles and the Lion as our lesson today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you, Isabella, read the story out loud, and then after we're finished, we are going to do a few questions, and then we will listen to the story out loud from the computer, and then we will do the story mapping like we've been doing over the last few weeks as well. So I have the story here, and it's entitled Androcles and the Lion from Aesop's Fables. And I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to have you, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
Once there was a slave called Androcles who called to a very cruel master. Androcles worked all day long in his master's field, and he was never paid a single penny. He was always tired and hungry, and one night Androcles decided to escape. He waited until his master was fast asleep. Then he crept out of his house and silently made his way into the forest and started running. Androcles knew that if he was caught, he'd be punished. So he ran all night and morning. He lay down to rest. He'd just fallen asleep when he was woken by a terrible roaring sound. Androcles jumped to his feet and standing right in front of him was a huge lion. He was about to run away when he noticed the lion was holding out his paw, and he wasn't really roaring. He was crying because a huge thorn was sticking out of his paw. "Ouch! No wonder you're crying," said Androcles to the lion. "I'd like to help you, but if I come any closer, you'll probably eat me." But the lion had such a sad look in its eyes that before Androcles had time to think, he'd stepped forward and pulled out the thorn. The lion opened his mouth and let out a terrible cry, and for a moment Androcles thought he was going to be eaten, but instead of biting Androcles, the lion gently licked his face. Androcles fetched some water from a stream and washed the lion's bleeding paw. "You'll be all right now," said Androcles. The lion licked Androcles one last time, as if to say thank you, then limped off into the forest. Then Androcles heard a voice. "That's him. Quickly tie him up." Androcles knew that voice. It was his master. 6 men grabbed Androcles and tied him up with ropes. "Thought you would escape, did you?" said the master. "Nobody escapes from me." Now Androcles was in really big trouble. The men took Androcles to the city and threw him in prison. Next day, a prison guard brought Androcles some food. "Do you hear that roaring, Androcles? We haven't fed that lion since we caught him, but he's going to have plenty to eat tomorrow when we put you in this cage." Next morning, Androcles was taken to a huge arena like a football stadium. The emperor and thousands of his people came to see a lion man being eaten by a lion. In the center of the arena was a huge cage. In the cage was a huge, very hungry lion. The crowd clapped and cheered as the guards pushed Androcles into the cage and slammed the door shut. Everyone went still as the lion leaped towards Androcles. But then something odd happened. The lion stopped and stood very still. He knew this man. He'd seen him somewhere before. Then he remembered the thorn had stuck in his paw. Are you going to eat me then, old friend? Said Androcles. But the lion just pulled and let the slave's face. At first the crowd was angry. This wasn't supposed to happen. They haven't paid good money to see a lion lick a man's face. But the emperor stood up and said, "This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen." And he started to clap. And the people thought, if the emperor's clapping, then maybe I should clap too. Soon clapping and cheering ran around the arena. Androcles was taken to the place, and when the lion emperor heard the story of the lion and the thorn, he announced that both Androcles and the lion should be given their freedom. Androcles, you helped the lions, so the lion helped you, said the emperor. See how one good deed leads to another. You're a free man now. Androcles and the lion walked out of the city together, both free.
Awesome. Very good job reading that. I'll take that back from you. Okay, so in the story, we obviously had Androcles and the lion. So we had Androcles and the lion, and so now we're going to name some people or friends that you may consider to be friends. So we're gonna write friends up here. So can you name some of the characteristics? Maybe some people that you might consider friends. Maybe who are nice people? Who are friendly people?
People that care for you.
Who care for you?
Are kind-hearted. Respectful.
Respectful. Perfect. Okay, so what about types of people that that are good friends? And then I want you to name the types of people that might be bad friends. So a good friend, what would a good friend do? So a good friend, what kinds of things would a good friend do for you? What would a good friend do for you?
A good friend would help you.
They would help you. What else?
Make you happy.
Oh, they would make you happy. Make you happy.
They would make you excited and cheerful.
Excited and cheerful. Okay. What are some of the things of bad friends? Like what what types of people are they? Like, what would a bad friend do?
A bad friend
Mm-hmm.
would yell at you.
Oh, they would.
They would kind of like bully you.
Bully. Maybe be mean.
They wouldn't care for you.
They would not care for you. They wouldn't care about you. Okay. So now I want you to give me the qualities in friends. Like how, well, you kind of did this in a way, but like what are the qualities in friends? Like I want you to kind of go good from bad. Like when you think of a good friend, what should you look for in a good friend? Like say, all right, you know what? I want to be happy and enjoy my friendships. So what kind of qualities would you want? I mean, you did kind of touch base on that.
I would say I want to be kind, respectful,
Kind and
caring.
respectful. You were telling me what the qualities of a good friend. Could you tell me maybe about a bad friend? Like, why wouldn't you want to hang out with a bad friend? Because of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we kind of touched base on all that. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you what a friend actually is. So a friend is a person who knows and with whom one has a bond or mutual affection. They're on the same side of you and not as an enemy. That's the definition of what a friend is. Okay, so can you tell me what a best friend is?
A best friend.
A best friend, and somebody that you adore. Who is your best friend and what should they do?
A best friend should always be there for you, and they will always hang out with you no matter what. And
No matter what.
They'll always play with you and everything.
They just make you happy. And what is an enemy? What is an enemy?
An enemy?
Yes. What do you consider an enemy? Like when you think about an enemy, like what do you think of?
I think of somebody that like scolds you or
Ooh.
yells at you.
Scolds you. That's a good word. Yells at you. Maybe treats you bad. Makes you feel
Cold-hearted.
cold-hearted. Makes you feel sad. And maybe they don't treat you well. Okay.
I have something for best friend.
You have another thing for best friend? What is it?
They like know you really well.
Know you really well. Good job. Okay, so now that we've done all that, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the story out loud so that you can hear it. Okay?
Androcles and the Lion. Once there was a slave called Androcles who belonged to a very cruel master. Androcles worked all day long in his master's fields and was never paid a single penny. He was always tired and hungry, and one night Androcles decided to escape. He waited until his master was fast asleep. Then he crept out of the house and silently made his way into the forest and started running. Androcles knew that if he was caught, he'd be punished. So he ran all night, and in the morning, he lay down to rest. He'd just fallen asleep when he was woken by a terrible roaring sound. Androcles jumped to his feet, and standing right in front of him was a huge lion. He was about to run away when he noticed the lion was holding out his paw, and he wasn't really roaring. He was crying because a huge thorn was sticking out of his paw. "Oh, no wonder you're crying," said Androcles to the lion. "I'd like to help you, but if I come any closer, you'll probably eat me." But the lion had such a sad look in its eye that before Androcles had time to think, he'd stepped forward and pulled out the thorn. The lion opened his mouth and let out a terrible cry. And for a moment, Androcles thought he was going to be eaten. But instead of biting Androcles, the lion gently licked his face. Androcles fetched some water from the stream and washed the lion's bleeding paw. "You'll be all right now," said Androcles. The lion licked Androcles one last time, as if to say, "Thank you," then limped off into the forest. Then Androcles heard a voice. "That's him! Quickly, tie him up!" Androcles knew that voice. It was his master. 6 men grabbed Androcles and tied him up with ropes. "Thought you would escape, did you?" said the master. "Nobody escapes from me." Now Androcles was in really big trouble. The men took Androcles to the city and threw him in prison. Next day, a prison guard brought Androcles some food. "Do you hear that roaring, Androcles? We haven't fed that lion since we caught him. But he's going to have plenty to eat tomorrow when we put you in his cage." Next morning, Androcles was taken to a huge arena, like a football stadium. The emperor and thousands of his people had come to see a man being eaten by a lion. In the center of the arena was a cage, and in the cage was a huge, very hungry lion. The crowd clapped and cheered as the guards pushed Androcles into the cage and slammed the door shut. Everyone went very still as the lion leapt towards Androcles. But then, something odd happened. The lion stopped and stood very still. He knew this. He'd seen him somewhere before. Then he remembered the thorn that had stuck in his paw. "Are you going to eat me then, old friend?" said Androcles. But the lion just purred and licked the slave's face. At first, the crowd were angry. This wasn't supposed to happen. They hadn't paid good money to see a lion lick a man's face. But the emperor stood up and said, "This is the most amazing thing I have ever seen." And he started to clap. And the people thought, "I was clapping, then maybe I should clap too." Soon clapping and cheering rang around the arena. Androcles was taken to the palace, and when the emperor heard the story of the lion and the thorn, he announced that both Androcles and the lion should be given their freedom. "Androcles, you helped the lion, so the lion helped you," said the emperor. "See how one good deed leads to another? You're a free man now." Androcles and the lion walked out of the city together, both free.
Wow, what a wonderfully great story that was. So now what we're going to do is we have the story mapping that we have been working on this week. It's the characteristics, setting, problem, the plan, and resolution. So now I'm going to have you work on this and we'll go over it.